First contact fiasco. High Admiral Vexthor stood at the command center of Arcturus Prime Station, his crystalline form refracting the starlight in elegant patterns. Today marked a historic moment, humanity's first contribution to the Galactic Coalition's combined defense fleet. As the highest-ranking military official in the Arcturian Empire, he expected to witness the arrival of a vessel that would showcase Earth's finest technological achievements. What emerged from the jump point made his crystalline structure vibrate with dismay. The human vessel, if one could dignify it with such a term, looked like it had been assembled from spare parts found floating in deep space. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals, some sections clearly salvaged from older ships. What appeared to be actual rivets held portions together, and several areas sported thick plates attached with crude mechanical fasteners. The ship's designation, HSV Resourceful, was painted on its hull in simple block letters. "Surely this is some kind of mistake," muttered Sub-Commander Zura, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with confusion. "Perhaps it's a salvage vessel bringing materials for the real warship." Before Vexthor could respond, 3 more human ships emerged from the jump point. Each looked equally cobbled together, though their designs varied wildly. One appeared to be primarily constructed from shipping containers welded together. Another had mismatched engine pods, and the third sported what looked like manual steering fins, an absurd concept for a spacefaring vessel. Arcturus Prime Station. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the HSV Resourceful. A cheerful human voice came through on standard frequencies, not even using quantum communications. "Request permission to dock. Fair warning. Our port thruster tends to stick, so we might need a bit more clearance than usual." Vexthor's crystalline form darkened with embarrassment. The docking bay was filled with representatives from every major species in the Coalition, all gathered to witness humanity's introduction to the fleet. The Zenith-collected ships gleamed with their self-repairing nanoalloys. The Meridian Empire's vessels hummed with quantum-folded space drives. And now this collection of space junk would join their ranks. "Permission granted," he responded, professional training masking his horror. "Please follow automated guidance to Docking Bay 7. "Ah, about that," Captain Chen replied. "We prefer manual docking. Those automated systems tend to get confused by our unique mass distribution. Don't worry. We do this all the time." The next 15 minutes were the longest of Vexthor's distinguished career. The Resourceful approached the docking bay with all the grace of a wounded space whale, occasionally releasing bursts of steam from external vents. Several times, the ship's course needed adjustment, accomplished by short bursts from maneuvering thrusters that seemed to have been salvaged from various sources. "Is that duct tape?" Sub-Commander Zira whispered, pointing to a patch on the ship's hull. "Emergency hull sealant," Vexthor corrected automatically, though he knew she was right. The humans had actually patched their spacecraft with adhesive strips. Finally, the Resourceful settled into its berth with a series of clanks and hisses that made several nearby Meridian diplomats cover their auditory organs. The docking procedure completed with the deployment of a boarding tube that looked like it had been assembled from spare parts from at least 3 different species ships. Captain Sarah Chen emerged from the airlock, followed by her senior crew. They wore uniforms that showed signs of actual physical repairs, patches and visible stitching, instead of self-maintaining smart fabrics. Chen was a compact woman with laugh lines around her eyes and grease stains on her boots. "High Admiral Vexthor," she said, executing what humans call a salute. "The Earth Defense Force is honored to join the Coalition fleet. Don't mind the exterior of our ships. They're a lot more capable than they look." "Captain Chen," Vexthor acknowledged, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure. "Your vessels are certainly unique. However, I must express concern about their combat readiness. Coalition protocols require..." "Oh, the Resourceful exceeds all functional requirements," Chen interrupted with a grin. "We just have a different approach to getting there. Would you like a tour?" The next hour thoroughly challenged everything Vexthor thought he knew about spaceship design. The Resourceful's interior was a maze of manually operated systems, mechanical backup controls, and redundancies upon redundancies. Where coalition ships relied on quantum computers and AI assistants, the humans had simple mechanical systems that could be operated and repaired by hand. See, we learned pretty early that fancy tech is great until it isn't, Chen explained, patting a massive manual control panel. One good solar flare or electromagnetic pulse, and your quantum systems are fried. But you can't hack a lever, and a mechanical pressure gauge works just fine without power. But the inefficiency, Vexthor began. Efficiency isn't everything, Chen countered. Our ships might not be pretty, but they're survivable. Every system has at least 3 backups, and most of them can be operated with nothing more than human muscle power if necessary. We call it Murphy's Law engineering. If something can go wrong, it will, so be ready for it. As if to emphasize her point, a loud clang echoed through the ship, followed by the hiss of escaping steam. Ah, that'll be the port thruster acting up again, Chen said cheerfully. Watch this. She grabbed a heavy wrench from a nearby tool rack and slammed it against a bulkhead 3 times in quick succession. The hissing stopped. Percussive maintenance. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Looking around the ship's bridge, with its bizarre mixture of advanced displays and manual backup systems, Vexthor began to understand that he was witnessing not primitive technology, but a fundamentally different philosophy of spacecraft design. The humans hadn't failed to advance. They had chosen a different path of advancement, one that prioritized resilience over sophistication. Little did he know that this lesson in human engineering would soon prove far more valuable than anyone could have anticipated. The Proving Ground. 2 months into humanity's integration with the coalition fleet, High Admiral Vexthor found himself questioning the wisdom of accepting Earth's contributions to their defense force. The weekly patrol reports read like comedy scripts or horror stories, depending on one's perspective. The HSV Resourceful and its sister ships had developed a reputation for what Captain Chen called creative problem-solving. Last week, they'd sealed a micro-meteor puncture with something called space putty. Yesterday, Engineer Martinez had performed what he termed a spacewalk dance to knock a stuck solar panel into position. The number of coalition safety protocols violated during these incidents had caused the Meridian Empire's safety commissioner to resign in protest. High Admiral. Sub-Commander Zara's voice carried an unusual edge. Long-range sensors are detecting an anomaly in Sector 7. Vexthor's crystalline form shifted to attention purple. Sector 7 housed several crucial trading routes. Analysis. Unknown energy signature. Approximately 2 light minutes across. It's moving against the stellar currents. All ships, battle stations, Vexthor commanded. The coalition fleet moved with practiced precision, except for the human vessels, which seemed to lumber into position like cargo haulers at a spaceport. Captain Chen, try to keep your ships in formation this time, he added, not bothering to hide his exasperation. We're exactly where we need to be. Admiral, Chen replied cheerfully. Though the Resourceful's starboard stabilizer is making that funny noise again. Nothing a good whack won't fix. Before Vexthor could respond, the anomaly surged toward them. It resembled a wave of purple-black energy, rippling through space like water across oil. As it approached, their sensors began reporting increasingly bizarre readings. Energy signature is interfering with quantum fields, reported the science officer aboard the Meridian flagship. Recommend immediate. The wave hit. Every quantum-based system across the coalition fleet went dark simultaneously. Artificial gravity failed. Navigation systems crashed. Even the backup quantum processors fell silent. All ships report status. Vexthor commanded. Only static answered. Their communications, dependent on quantum entanglement, had failed along with everything else. Then a voice crackled through ancient radio frequencies. Coalition fleet, this is Captain Chen. Anyone else notice how the coffee maker is the only thing still working on their ship? Well, that and everything else we brought from Earth. To Vexthor's astonishment, the human ships appeared completely unaffected by the anomaly. While the Coalition's advanced vessels drifted helplessly, the HSV Resourceful and its companions maintained perfect formation. How? He began, before remembering their antiquated radio systems. He located the emergency radio transmitter, a device included in their ships solely due to Coalition regulations requiring compatibility with primitive communication methods. Captain Chen, explain. Simple. Really? Chen's voice crackled back. Can't disrupt what isn't there. No quantum systems, no problem. We're running on good old-fashioned Newtonian physics out here. Martinez, show them what the Resourceful can do. The patchwork human vessel moved with surprising grace, extending crude mechanical grapples to secure the drifting Coalition ships. One by one, they anchored the powerless vessels together. Okay, folks, Chen announced, we're going to try something we like to call daisy chaining. Fair warning, this might get a bit bumpy. Over the next hour, Vexthor watched in a mixture of horror and amazement as the human ships literally towed the Coalition fleet out of the anomaly using mechanical winches and chemical rockets. The Resourceful's engines belched actual flame as it hauled 3 ships behind it like a primitive ground vehicle towing trailers. Once clear of the anomaly, the Coalition ship's systems gradually reactivated. Vexthor's command center hummed back to life, quantum processors re-establishing their delicate networks of calculations. Status report, he commanded, his crystalline form still vibrating from the during rescue operation. All ships accounted for, Zyra reported, though several Meridian vessels are reporting nausea among their crew. Apparently, the humans' method of acceleration doesn't agree with their inner ear equivalents. Small price to pay for not drifting into that thing. Chen's voice came through on both radio and quantum channels now. By the way, we got some interesting readings while we were in there. Your science teams might want to take a look. Had to write them down on actual paper since our computers were busy running life support, but the data's solid. Looking at the crude mechanical grapples still attached to his fleet's most advanced ships, Vexthor had an unsettling realization. The humans' primitive technology wasn't just a different approach. It was a safety net, a fallback for situations where advanced technology failed. Their ships weren't built for optimal performance in ideal conditions. They were built to keep working when everything went wrong. Captain Chen, he said slowly, I believe we may need to reevaluate our assessment of human engineering principles. Does this mean we can stop filing paperwork every time we use duct tape? Chen asked hopefully. Before Vexthor could respond, the anomaly pulsed again, but this time it began to move with purpose, straight toward the nearest inhabited system. All ships, he commanded, prepare for pursuit. And Captain Chen, I believe we'll need your expertise on this operation. Already breaking out the emergency toolkits, Chen replied. Trust me, Admiral. Sometimes the best solution is the one simple enough to work when nothing else will. Raiders of the Void. The emergency transmission cut through all frequencies, even the humans' antiquated radio channels. Coalition help. Nexus trading station. Under attack. Weapons unknown. High Admiral Vexthor's crystalline form pulsed with alarm as tactical data streamed in. The Nexus trading station, hub of commerce for 3 major sectors, was being hit by the largest pirate fleet seen in a century. Initial reports showed over 30 vessels, all armed with technology that shouldn't exist outside of theoretical weapons research. All ships, maximum speed to Nexus Station, he commanded. Captain Chen, try to keep. Already ahead of you, Admiral, Chen interrupted. The HSV Resourceful and its sister ships had somehow taken the lead, their crude chemical engines burning with surprising intensity. We figured out a few tricks while studying that anomaly last week. The Coalition fleet dropped out of quantum space near Nexus Station, and Vexthor's crystalline structure nearly cracked at the site. The massive station hung dark against the stars, its quantum shields flickering weakly. The pirate fleet surrounded it like predators circling wounded prey, their ships bristling with purple-black weapon ports identical to the energy signature they'd encountered in the anomaly. "Well, that explains a few things," Chen muttered over the radio. "They're using the same quantum-disrupting tech. Bet you credits to coffee beans they salvaged it from that anomaly we found." The pirate leader's face appeared on all frequencies, a scared Meridian renegade known as Shadowweave. "Ah, the mighty coalition fleet arrives. How convenient. Now we can demonstrate our new weapons to a proper audience." Purple energy lanced out from the pirate vessels. Vex Thor braced for impact, but instead of explosive damage, the energy simply touched their ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then everything went wrong. Quantum systems crashed across the coalition fleet, just as they had during their encounter with the anomaly. Shields failed. Weapons went dark. Even life support began to sputter as backup quantum processors failed. But not on the human ships. "You know," Chen's voice crackled through the radio, sounding almost amused. "There's an old saying on Earth, never bring a quantum computer to a rock fight." The resourceful and its companions suddenly accelerated, but not in any pattern Vex Thor recognized. They moved erratically, like malfunctioning drones, belching steam and trailing what appeared to be debris. "What are you doing?" Shadowweave demanded, confusion evident in his voice. "Making a mess," Chen replied cheerfully. "Martins, release the party favors." The debris trailing from the human ships wasn't random garbage. It was a carefully calculated cloud of metallic particles, old-fashioned chaff that played havoc with the pirates' targeting systems. The resourceful's erratic movement wasn't malfunction but deliberate evasion, following patterns too irregular for AI targeting to predict. "Those primitive rust buckets," Shadowweave snarled, "burn them out of space." But the pirates' advanced weapons, calibrated for quantum shields and energy barriers, proved remarkably ineffective against ships armored with crude metal plating and redundant mechanical systems. Energy beams that would have shattered quantum shields merely scorched the humans' patchwork hulls. "Our turn," Chen announced. "Remember, folks, we only need to hit them hard enough to break their toys. Ready with the magnetics." To Vex Thor's astonishment, the human ships began launching what appeared to be mining equipment, magnetic grapples trailing carbon fiber cables. Did they seriously bring mining tools to a space battle? Sub-Commander Zero whispered in disbelief. They had, and it worked brilliantly. The grapples attached to the pirate ships' hulls, the crude magnets interfering with their delicate quantum field generators. More importantly, the cables tangled in their engine outputs, forcing them to cut power or risk tearing their own ships apart. "See, this is why we keep the low-tech options," Chen explained as her fleet systematically disabled the pirate vessels. "Can't hack a magnet, can't quantum disrupt a steel cable, and nobody expects to get taken down by mining equipment." The battle, if it could be called that, ended almost anticlimactically. With their quantum weapons useless against the humans' primitive technology, and their ships literally tied up in magnetic grapples and cables, the pirates found themselves being methodically corralled like errant livestock. "Might want to power up your brake," Chen suggested to Vex Thor as her crews began boarding the disabled pirate vessels. "We'll have guests soon. Though fair warning, we had to break a few things to get in. Turns out their fancy airlocks don't work so well when you pop the hinges with a crowbar." Watching the Resourceful's crew literally pry open a pirate ship's airlock with manual tools, Vex Thor realized he was witnessing a revolution in space warfare. The humans hadn't just survived an attack that should have crippled them. They'd turned their technological disadvantages into devastating tactical advantages. "Captain Chen," he said slowly, "I believe the Coalition's combat doctrine may require some updating." "Happy to help," Chen replied. "Though first, we should probably fix that coolant leak on the station. Anyone got some spare duct tape? The industrial strength stuff. We used most of ours during the fight." As his crystalline form shifted to contemplative blue, Vexthor wondered if perhaps the greatest advancement in space warfare wouldn't come from quantum physics or AI development, but from remembering that sometimes the simplest solution was the most effective. The Great Defense. The Strategic Command Center of Arcturus Prime Station hummed with tension. High Admiral Vexthor studied the holographic display showing the approaching threat, the largest hostile force ever recorded in Coalition space, the Nexan Hivemind, a species that had rejected all attempts at diplomatic contact, had launched what appeared to be a full-scale invasion. 5,000 ships at minimum. Sub-Commander Zira reported, her bioluminescence pulsing with anxiety, all showing signs of quantum disruption technology similar to what we encountered with the pirates. They must have been studying us for years, Vexthor realized, learning our weaknesses, adapting their weapons specifically to counter our most advanced systems. Well, good thing we brought some outdated tech to the party then. Captain Chen's voice carried its usual cheerful tone as she entered the command center, accompanied by her senior staff. She'd actually polished her boots for the occasion, though they still showed scuff marks from her latest emergency repair session. "Captain, this is hardly the time for," Vexthor began. "With respect, Admiral," Chen interrupted, "this is exactly the time. The Hivemind's about to hit us with weapons designed to shut down every piece of advanced tech in the Coalition. But they've never fought humans before. They don't know that we're really good at doing things the hard way." She stepped up to the holographic display, studying the Hivemind fleet's formation. "Look at how they're arranged. Perfect quantum calculated spacing, optimal energy distribution. They're expecting a conventional battle against conventional forces. And what do you propose instead?" Vexthor asked, his crystalline form shifting to curious amber. Chen's grin turned predatory. "Let's show them what happens when you bring quantum calculations to a barroom brawl. But we'll need every ship in the Coalition fleet to modify their systems according to our specs. Hope nobody's too attached to their warranty." The next 48 hours were a flurry of activity that would have given Coalition safety inspectors collective nervous breakdowns. Under human supervision, every ship in the defense fleet underwent what Chen called emergency optimization, a process that looked more like deliberate sabotage to most alien observers. Quantum shields were backed up with physical armor plating. Computer systems were given mechanical bypasses. Emergency manual controls were installed for every critical system. The humans even distributed their infamous space tape to every ship, along with crash courses in percussive maintenance. Remember, Engineer Martinez instructed a group of bewildered alien technicians, "If it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. And if it still doesn't work, hit it with the wrench we gave you." When the Hivemind fleet arrived, they encountered something unprecedented. A Coalition defense force that looked more like a collection of salvage ships than a military fleet. "This is not optimal." The Hivemind's collective voice transmitted across all frequencies. "Your formation lacks efficiency. Your ships show signs of damage and crude modification. Surrender and be absorbed into the perfect unity of the Nexan consciousness." "Yeah, about that," Chen responded on simple radio frequencies. "We've got a counteroffer. Martinez, show them why we installed those railguns." The human ships opened fire first, launching what appeared to be solid metal projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The Hivemind's quantum shields, calibrated for energy weapons and exotic particle beams, proved remarkably ineffective against what amounted to very fast rocks. The Hivemind responded with their quantum disruption weapons, only to find that the Coalition fleet continued functioning, their crude backup systems kicking in as advanced technology failed. Ships that should have been dead in space kept moving, powered by chemical rockets and mechanical systems. "Impossible," the Hivemind transmitted. "Your technology is inferior. Your methods are chaotic. You cannot prevail against unity and order." "See, that's where you're wrong," Chen replied, as the resourceful led a charge that looked more like a barroom brawl than a space battle. "Chaos is just unity you haven't understood yet. And right now, we're about to unify our fists with your face. All ships. Plan Murphy. What followed would be studied in military academies for generations to come. The Coalition fleet, flying with all the grace of drunk asteroids, somehow managed to execute perfect combat maneuvers using nothing but mechanical systems and human intuition. Ships that appeared to be falling apart at the seams demonstrated remarkable resilience against the hive mind's sophisticated weapons. The Resourceful itself seemed to be held together by nothing but space tape and spite as it rammed through the hive mind's formation, trailing clouds of chaff and launching what appeared to be modified mining charges. Other human ships followed, their crude weapons proving devastatingly effective against enemies who had expected to fight a purely technological war. This defies all tactical logic. The hivemen protested as their perfect formation began to crumble. Your methods are inefficient, unauthorized, and theoretically impossible. Yeah, Chen agreed, as her ship executed a maneuver that should have torn it apart. We get that a lot. But here's the thing about humans. We don't much care what's theoretically impossible. We care about what works. And right now, what works is about to be your worst nightmare. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. Against an enemy that had prepared to fight the most advanced technology in the galaxy, the Coalition's jury-rigged fleet of semi-functional ships proved unstoppable. The hive mind's perfect unity shattered against the chaos of human innovation and the determined improvisation of their alien allies. As the last hive mind ships retreated, Vexthor looked around his command center, now sporting several emergency repairs involving space tape and mechanical bypasses. His crystalline form shifted through several colors before settling on respectful gold. "Captain Chen," he said formally, "I believe the Coalition owes humanity an apology. We mistook simplicity for primitiveness and nearly paid the ultimate price for our arrogance." "Nah," Chen replied, absently tightening a loose bolt on a nearby console with a wrench she'd somehow smuggled into the command center. "You just needed to remember something we learned a long time ago. The most advanced technology in the universe doesn't mean much if you can't fix it with a wrench when everything goes wrong."